Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes walk into Morgantown and leave with an L, 29-22, from the West Virginia Mountaineers. With the team gathering momentum after two straight important wins, how likely is it that this team can actually make a bowl game? Find out on this episode of the Cold Country Podcast.
You are now entering Cold Country.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Cold Country Podcast, where we discuss everything WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre. Joining me as always, Tyler Cobb, Matt Howe, and Matt Loams back on once again. Gentlemen, how we feeling?
I'm happy to be here. How are you guys?
I'm happy. Got the dub. Coach Prime walking in, again, taking that L. It is what it is. He has a baller at quarterback, though, not going to lie.
He's found himself something there.
They didn't look too bad, especially with those long deep balls down the field, like 30, 40 yards at a time. It seemed like they just had better athletes. We couldn't guard them, but we're going to get into that. Let me pull this up. All right, before we get into the game and us breaking it down, subscribe to the YouTube channel and also like the video. Really helps us out in the algorithm. Follow the Instagram and the X, and don't forget about our Spotify. This will be there. So, guys, let's break down this game. Again, Mountaineers win 29-22 in Morgantown. Weird score, weird game overall. Gonna get into it. Scotty Fox doing what he does. Two weird turnovers for him. Both picks were kind of odd. And Julian Lewis balling out. Quarterback play was okay overall. Dior Hubbard coming back into it too, had a long reception that brought us down into the red zone, if I'm not mistaken, but a really good pass, really good reception. So more involved in the pass game for him, really than the run game. He had 94 receiving yards, but only 64 rushing yards. So weird game from Dior. Again, just a weird freaking game. That's like
a long wheel route reception for Dior Hubbard on the day that Steve Slayton gets honored is just kind of poetic in a way.
Yeah, it was cool having the 06 Sugar Bowl winning team there. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Owen Schmidt, the guy that is always in the stadium intro videos down on the field taking pictures. Freaking legend. The most fullback to ever do it.
The runaway beer truck.
Awesome. Again, Colorado we were talking about this before we started recording, shot themselves in the foot a lot of the time. You know, they were getting those long receptions that our defense just couldn't hang. And they couldn't convert some of their opportunities. Their kicker missed an extra point. Missing points on the board for Colorado overall.
I found this out. That was if I can remember the number correctly, I did not put it in my notes.
And 10, I believe. I'm pulling it out my butt, but it's like probably 103 or 110 or something like that.
I was thinking 102. He had made 102 straight PAT attempts before that miss. And so he missed that first one, and then he doinked the other one.
When you said that stat, I thought it was ridiculous because his kicks looked. I mean, I'm not a kicker. I couldn't do what he does, but his kicks looked horrible all day.
I believe I was the only one at the game. Ian, you were there.
I was at the game. Come on, man! I literally
you didn't see Ian in the stands.
Yeah, my fault. Ian was there as well, but me and Ian, did you notice any wind? I didn't think it was abnormal in any way.
Nah, it wasn't that windy. I mean, we talked a few hours before the game, and the wind was blowing pretty hard. But when game time actually came, the wind wasn't bad. The weather was warming up a little bit, so
just an odd day for Colorado's kicking. Doinked it, man. I don't know what happened. 102 straight just to miss one and doink the other is kind of odd. I would also be curious to see, and I planned on looking it up, but I did not know how to go about it, if this was a scoregami, because 29-22 seems like such a weird score.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't remember watching a game in recent memory that ended anywhere near 29-22. So, weird game, but I will say good teams have to find a way to win these type of games when it's just weird. The weather's weird for the time of year, and to begin with, it was 60 degrees in November. And the wind was blowing, but then again, it wasn't during the game. We had missed kicks. We had bad passes, good good runs and bad runs from both teams. Colorado really couldn't get the run game going in the beginning of the game, and then in the second half they did. It was weird. While meanwhile, we had important runs, but then we couldn't capitalize on any like scoring runs, except for Curtis Jones, who had to convert to a running back in goal line situations. 3 carries and 2 touchdowns, only 9 yards. So the 2 tutties are what matters. Whenever you're low in depth in that running back room, you got to bring dogs out. Curtis Jones was a dog, and he got it done. I'm really surprised by his performance.
I mean, you have 2 smaller guys in the backfield at your running back in Dual Hubbard and Sincere Bowers, and so you get down into those goal line situations, and you just need a big body to find a hole through the line and just punch in. And I can't remember if it was the first one or second one. He got stopped behind the line of scrimmage and just willed his way to the end zone. So the fact that a linebacker, he played some running back in high school, but the fact that a linebacker was able to go in and when you need him on the goal line can just punch it in behind an O-line that, again, just not playing up to standard, I thought. Props to Curtis Jones. That was a heck of a game. 2 touchdowns on 3 carries.
We needed it. Super important. And I was just looking, if we want to talk about our defense a little bit, we had 7 sacks on the day on Julian Lewis. Reed Carrico. Wait, what were you saying?
I cannot remember what game. I think it was just up to the UCF game, maybe. We had only had 1 sack or something like that since Pitt. And then the past 2 games, we've had 10 sacks combined.
Yeah.
So just absolutely turnaround in terms of the defensive rush.
I mean, yeah, we said it in our pregame show. We said it that you needed to get pressure on Julian Lewis, and 7 sacks did it. Even though somehow Julian Lewis still threw for 290-some yards. I mean, he did get the job done through the air. And I kept saying to myself during the game that it seemed like Colorado, especially in the receiver room, just had bigger and more athletic dudes than our corners. You know what I mean? Like, our corners may have been fast, but they weren't as big as those receivers. And I think that could have made the difference in some of those downfield passes.
Especially Amarian Miller. He's a heck of a receiver. 6 catches for 131, 21.8 average, and a touchdown. And then Joseph Williams, in terms of average, is right there with him with 21.3, but he only had 3 catches, but still, again, for 64 yards. So their receivers balled out. We've struggled tackling, and then I've thought we've struggled a little bit in terms of the, stopping the pass. And Julian Lewis played his tail off. For a true freshman to come into a hostile environment of a team coming off of a win, feeling confident, props to him for keeping the Colorado Buffaloes in the game as long as they were, because you're down 19-9. Again, just such a weird score to be down at halftime. You're down 19-9 at halftime. You could have come out flat and just let West Virginia run away with it, and you didn't. So props to Julian Lewis, and then you got to give props to West Virginia. I thought you played really well in the first half. The 2 interceptions, and I believe they were both in the third quarter by Scotty Fox, were weird. The one was on the run. That one was just a bad throw, freshman making freshman mistakes. The other one was like, I think it was intended to just kind of be a 50-50 ball down the sideline.
His first interception you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely because we were in such weird field position that if we punted, it wouldn't have really mattered. We couldn't have kicked a field goal from there, and he just wanted to try and make something happen. And honestly,
down too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 4th down situation, and I think honestly the Colorado defensive back should have known better than to pick that ball off. They threw away 12 yards, I think it was, by picking that ball off.
Well, so
I don't. It's weird because, like, I heard this on the radio show with Caridi and those guys. They were just saying defensive backs today just want to get their name in the stat sheet, and they don't really care about the game situation.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah, so he picked that ball off and lost his team 12 yards. It ended up mattering anyway, I'm pretty sure, on that drive. They didn't get anything out of it.
No,
but
they punted.
That one, I think. You're saying that was the first one, I've got them mixed around then. But either way, the one where it was 4th down, it was kind of just a 50-50 ball down the sideline, and it almost looked like, the defender was right in his face. It looked like he got hit in the moment. I don't know if he got hit technically before he got the ball off. But again, that's one of those balls that it is fourth down. You're trying to make a play. If it gets picked off down the field, it's basically the same as a punt anyway. And so that one wasn't really terrible. It was the other one that I was a little bit more concerned about because
it was first down too, right? Like, why throw the ball over the middle of the field underthrown on first down? Just chuck it out of bounds.
A bad decision. So, one bad pick, one pick that was, it's going to stick out that he only had one touchdown to 2 interceptions, but the interception on fourth down was not terrible in my opinion.
Yeah. What I will say is if you're going to throw the ball, you're going to throw interceptions. It's just the way it is. It's just eliminating those freshman-like mistakes is what's important. And I think, again, we've talked about it show by show, like the fact that Scotty Fox has had to step into the situation and do what he's been doing and how he's been doing it has far exceeded my expectations. So, you know what? One bad pick is one bad pick. It didn't lose us a game either. So I'm still happy with the way he played.
But Matt Howe said he thinks you've got the quarterback of next year on the roster. I'm not there yet. I still needed him to play lights out ball over the last 3 games, and I didn't think that was lights out ball against the Colorado defense that has really struggled on the year. So
no, we were talking a little before.
He leaves the light on for you, like
we were talking a little before, and I think it was Loam said that Julian Lewis is going to transfer out of Colorado, and I said, well, he's not coming here because we have our quarterback, but that is still a question. I know we've talked about it on the show. Obviously, we've talked about it off the show too, but I don't know that it's still a question mark per se at quarterback for us. But Scotty's looked pretty solid, and I mean we've talked about it before. He is now the veteran in this position. Regardless of whether he's a sophomore or if he were to be a senior next year, just because he's been able to play in this position now, and ideally can finish out the season healthy. I wanted to say my takeaway from this game was the dramatic shift in momentum. Like you said at halftime, it was 19-9, and after that we scored 10. They scored 13. So much different points differential in the second half compared to the first. Loams and I were watching together online. I didn't get home till about right before the second quarter started. But when we were heading into the back half of the second quarter, I think he made the comment that the defense is already on halftime. Like, we kind of just started falling apart there. And it didn't seem like when we came out of the locker room, we were really, fully headed into the game, And obviously the third quarter was our worst quarter of the game by far, with a punt, 2 interceptions on back-to-back plays. Of course, we got a field goal, right? But just really slow, not really methodical, felt off. But we kept it together, and I think we snuck by in the fourth just to barely get out of trouble. But, watching that third quarter, I was like, man, we're going to give the game away, because we played better football, period, in the first half. But as the first half wrapped up and coming back out, it was just rough. So I was interested to hear what you guys had to think about momentum in this game.
I thought about it too, especially during that third quarter. Like, the score kind of looks a little deceptive. 13-10 in the second half isn't that much of a point differential for what it felt like, especially that third quarter. And that's mainly because of the 2 interceptions, and the only points you get out of that quarter is a field goal. Even into the fourth quarter, I thought Colorado carried the momentum, and I thought Coach Prime did not a good enough job late game trying to keep it, and especially when Colorado had a chance to get points on the board, punt the ball away. You had 3 timeouts left, including the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, you're talking about the last drive that they had where he had 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock, and he decided to go for it on 4th down, where if he would have kicked the field goal, he could have tried an onside kick with all 3 of his timeouts left. It would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, we were thinking that when we were watching it from home.
He had 2 minutes left, basically, and it was 4th and 1, down 10. In that situation, I'm taking the field goal and then hoping that my defense can get a stop. Instead, you go for it on 4th down, and you do get it, but at the same time, that drive ends in a field goal anyway, and you've just wasted basically a minute of the 2 minutes you had left. And especially there at the end, like it was 3rd and 13. Julian Lewis rushes out of bounds for no gain. And then a timeout is used, one of the 3 timeouts you did have, and that was 40 seconds on the clock. So by the time, West Virginia gets first down anyway, so it doesn't matter. But assuming they didn't, you only have 26 seconds left, whereas if you kept that one timeout, you would have had closer to a minute left. Like it was just late in the 4th quarter. I thought Coach Brown did a terrible job of time management. So despite the slight momentum shift that it felt, I thought Colorado did a terrible job of keeping said momentum.
Yeah, he said a little bit about it in his post-game press conference. I listened to it, which, by the way, Coach Prime shouted out Noel Devine, and he said he loves our program. So I'll take it from Coach Prime. But he did talk a little bit about how he was looking for 7 instead of 3, and he didn't necessarily think about the timeouts and the onside kick scenario. So it is what it is with that. Momentum-wise, though, I feel like this especially happened in the second half. Both teams got opportunities, prime opportunities, where they could have done something with the ball to get good points, and both teams couldn't capitalize on offense, especially. It's kind of what it was, and I think to me that's what made the game so weird, because momentum for me being there was here, then over here, and then it switched back, and it was everywhere depending on who had the ball at the time. There really wasn't a run of, like we're gonna get a stop here on defense, because we didn't know if we were gonna get a stop on defense. Neither did Colorado. So that's what made the game weird, because the momentum to me wasn't predictable.
It's just so weird, because the end of the second quarter was Colorado field goal, West Virginia touchdown, Colorado touchdown, West Virginia field goal. So 4 drives by both teams that end in points. And then the first 5 drives of the third quarter is West Virginia punt, Colorado fumble, West Virginia interception, Colorado punt, West Virginia interception. It went from both teams being able to move the ball to both teams not taking care of the ball or just not being able to move the ball.
Exactly. Like I'm saying, momentum doesn't know which side it wants to be on.
Just a weird game. And even if you look at the box score, like it was a very close game in terms of like team stats, if you want to say that. Like both teams were around the 350 total yards mark. West Virginia 369, Colorado 350. Colorado was 5 for 17 on third down. West Virginia was 7 for 17, so just over. First downs, Colorado had 19, West Virginia had 21. Again, very similar. To me, the only stat that sticks out was the sacks, and Colorado only had 2. West Virginia had 7.
Yeah, so pressure. And, like, didn't Colorado – I'm not sure if they missed this game or not, because I heard they might have, but they had, like, really solid offensive tackles that I assume either got ran over or they didn't play in the game.
Neither of them played in the game. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but both starting tackles were out for the game. So just throwing a freshman quarterback behind an injured offensive line is not an ideal situation.
That's what Reed Carrico said post-game as well. He's like, we knew when we were going up against a freshman, and we were showing them different looks every single play to try to confuse them, and then whenever we thought we had him in the right moment, we would just go after him. So
pressure.
Reed knew what he was doing. He got 2 sacks.
He did indeed.
Another dog on the field.
If we're going to talk about pressure, we cannot move on without talking about the blocked punt. This is 2 weeks in a row we have had some luck. The ball bounced our way on the special teams unit. Last week it was a muffed punt by Houston. This week you block a punt, it goes through the back of the end zone. I thought we were going to get a touchdown there, just a little late, but you still get a safety and the ball That's what ended the safety, and the missed PAT by Colorado is what made the score so weird. Instead of 30-23, it was 29-22.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it. I mean, but you take the points no matter what. That punt, regardless of the outcome, was obviously going to be good for us because if you get the safety, we also get the ball. So, I mean, did we capitalize on it? No, but you get the ball back. There are pluses to each one, but I really wish we could have recovered it. Left it a little late. It sucks.
Well,
But
no, you did. You did capitalize off the.
well, I'm saying like we didn't get 7. We got 2 instead of 7. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get 2, but you get the ball, and that drive did end in a touchdown. So
Yeah.
you start the game at 0.
Also, good recruiting news after the game as well. Kevin Brown, who had been courted by Pitt, wore his West Virginia gloves on Friday night in his high school football game. And, dude, hopefully he's coming here.
No commitment yet, but that's a good sign because it is between us and Ohio State right now. If you can pull a 4-star away from Ohio State, that is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's huge. And if he does come here, he is going to be vital to
Day one
rebuilding this
starter.
line. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So
the guy looks like a Giga Chad too, like just total Giga Chad offensive lineman.
Great weekend. So Lomas, before we move on to talk about college football in general, again, give us your take on the momentum because me and Tyler talked about it, and Matt Howe gave his opinion. But like momentum wise, to you, basically, what made this game so weird?
I mean, it's Matt touched on it earlier when he was talking. He like I had said, going into halftime, it felt like our defense was mentally checked out. Like they just wanted to get to halftime, and that just allowed for this weird momentum swing. And then somehow before halftime, we were able to get points on the board. So it's impossible to tell really where you are going into halftime. And then at a halftime, we just looked deflated, and then somehow clawed our way back in the fourth quarter. So honestly, I don't know which way's up, but all I know is that we won. So that's all you can really take away from that.
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, on a day where things are going left and going right at the same time, it seems like finding a way to win is the more important thing. If it's ugly, it's ugly, but a W is a W. So it is what it is. We got the win.
4-6 is better than 2-8, which is what I thought we would be at this point in the season. So,
dude, I thought we were going 2-10. I thought we were going to get 2.
Well, I'm saying at this point, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if I have much faith in us to win the last 2, but I guess anything is possible.
We'll preview
but like you said,
it. I mean,
4-6 is a lot better than 2-8.
Yeah, I'm curious on like this amazing defensive performance going into from last week and going into this week. How is that going to stack up for the next 2 games going against? I'm pretty sure mostly senior offensive line units, like big guys.
Was it amazing?
What are we going to do?
Yeah, you can't afford to play like we did against Colorado against these other 2 teams.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't know if it was amazing. You still let Houston score 35 points when they gave you the ball 4 different times. And a Colorado team with a freshman quarterback threw for 300 yards and no interceptions.
Again, I
still think that's better than the Colorado.
I'm an Amarian Miller hater. I'm pretty sure all he does is just run goes, and I mean he's big enough to just catch the ball, 50% of the time. So it works. But
if you can run goes and catch every one of them, that's all you need.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I really want to look and see, even though I'm 99% sure we lose the game, I really want to see how we show up against Texas Tech, because obviously we know they have the better athletes and they have the better overall team. How do we try to combat that? Like, do we just get blown out and we don't even want to compete by the second half? Or,
let's get to Arizona State first.
Can we hang into it?
We can't be looking at Texas Tech when we have Arizona State still on the schedule. They are a tough team.
They're both tough. Sam Levitt, though.
Well, he's out
for me. Yeah, I know that. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be.
I mean, I'd prefer not to get run over by Jeff Sims. I mean, I want it to be close.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's on the road, so it's going to be a tough game anyway.
Just
That's
a
a
quick question though. Did you guys see Omarion Miller's comments about Jordan Scruggs about how he couldn't guard him? I'm wondering if you guys had like a take on that. No one saw it.
It's just ball talk, I think.
He had 6 for 134. I think that means you can't cover him.
I mean, you could talk all you want, but you still lost. I mean, it feels like everyone on that Colorado team is just concerned about getting what's theirs and not about winning.
Omarion Miller backed it up. The team didn't. If he wants to talk his talk, he can talk his talk. If Jordan Scruggs wants to say scoreboard, he can say scoreboard.
Yeah, it's just ball talk. Like, I really don't have a take on it. So, all right. One more thing before we move on to college football in general. I just got to shout this beauty of a picture out. Let me pull it up. The Colorado truck got stuck
fact that
downtown.
the media team, the media team needs a raise. Everybody on that staff needs a raise. Every penalty, they use this bad boy and put on some beeping to show him backing up. This is peak comedy right here.
Yeah, I will say I was not expecting it like when it first happened. And then also at the very end of the game, whenever they pulled up the Coach Prime, give me my theme music, and then they played Country Roads.
I want to know why the truck drivers thought to drive up 3rd Street.
So my theory about this is instead of his GPS telling him to turn onto Patterson to get to the stadium, which would have been the correct way, it told him to continue down to Beechhurst, and that's where he was just screwed immediately. Like, there was nothing he could have done from that point on. So he just got stuck.
I think it's because he's used to Colorado mountains and not the West Virginia hills.
One bad thing about West Virginia University, I will say, the entire downtown campus is just on a mountain. It sucks. Like, having to walk up the mountain. It is,
it's good for you.
If you're an athlete, come to West Virginia. That's my message. You'll get your workout on the downtown campus. So
you mentioned it before, but I've got a question before we go on to the playoff projections. Bowl bound?
Bowl bound. Well, that's the thing. We were just sort of talking about it. Like, I agree with the notion we shouldn't be focusing on Texas Tech, but like, they're both hard teams to play, and I think we probably have a hard time finding a way to win in either one of those. But they're so talented. I don't know if you can go 6-6, but the momentum's there. I can say that this locker room, I think, has rallied around each other in these past couple wins, especially in that Houston win when all looked lost and we somehow pulled one out of the hat. We'll see, dude. I mean, I think these players are starting to realize that they're capable of more than their record projects them as.
I don't think we should talk about Texas Tech yet because I'm kind of scared to see what they're going to do to us when they come to Morgantown. But as far as Arizona State is concerned, Jeff Sims has legs. He has proven that. He can run around like a madman and let it happen. But for the most part, in the past couple of games, we have stopped the run. We have gotten pressure on the quarterback, and we have stopped the run to an extent. However, we've not been able to pass the ball or stop the pass game. Excuse me. That kind of plays into what that's the opposite of what Jeff Sims is going to look to do. He's kind of a run-first guy. In terms of passing the ball, he's only 50% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns to 1 pick. And so force Jeff Sims to pass the ball. I don't want to go too deep into it right now because we're not. Yeah. We're not. This isn't a preview show. We're recapping Colorado, but that game looks winnable to an extent. I would much rather it be in Morgantown. It would be a much different story. But then you get to the dreaded Texas Tech game. Texas Tech looks like a top 5 team in the country, and West Virginia is just not that. So as far as bowl bound, even if you find a way against Arizona State, it ends November 30th when the Red Raiders come to Morgantown, unfortunately. I don't see it happening. West Virginia or Rich Rod teams gets better as the year goes on, but only to a certain extent. And to end with a top 5 team is rough.
Yeah, Matt, what you think? Pondering.
We beat Houston. Houston beat Arizona State. Arizona
Yeah.
State beat Texas Tech. That's all I'll say.
Transitive property. I like it. Loams?
I mean, yeah. Not much more I could say. Just take it week by week,
We'll get to those preview shows. So
a couple of weeks ago we thought we were going 2-10, and we currently sit here at 4-6 with a chance to make a bowl game. So honestly, that is a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we have meaningful football to watch, that's all that counts. That's all that matters.
Look, I was going to say these next 2 games, if you lose by 14 or less points, I'm a happy guy. So
yeah, I'm not even putting a margin for error on Texas Tech because I think it's going to be that bad because Texas Tech is just that good. But I will agree with you for Arizona State. If you can keep it within 2 scores or at least keep it close until later in the game, that I would be happy with. I would be content if you keep Arizona State close, and maybe show a little bit of fight against Texas Tech. But I don't. Oh, that's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, it is what it is at that point. So this is my current college football playoff bracket. Weird things going on in the college football world, and probably weird things going on in my bracket as well. But most of the teams up there, you can say, are deserving of a playoff spot. G5, again, we've talked about it so much, is a coin flip. Honestly, JMU in there, Tulane somehow back in there in that conversation. So this is what I got. I don't have a national championship pick yet, but it seems like Alabama always gets the best of Georgia. So this is what I got. What y'all think? We can talk in detail about it.
I just want ACC champ to not get in the playoffs.
Well, who do you have from the ACC? Georgia Tech. I mean, what happens when they lose to Georgia in the?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's not overall record though.
It's not a conference game. If Georgia Tech wins the ACC, they're gonna make it. It doesn't matter if they lose to Georgia or not.
All right. What if they lose in the ACC title?
Ultimately,
the
only path I see, and even this is a stretch, which we've talked about a little bit beforehand, is if Duke wins the ACC, South Florida wins out and wins the AAC, and James Madison wins out and wins the Sun Belt, is the only way I see the AAC or ACC champion getting left out. But if Georgia Tech wins it, or even Louisville, Virginia, Miami goes on to win it, they're going to make it.
Yeah. I was telling you guys earlier, so Pitt is in the conversation now for the ACC title game, and they're playing Notre Dame this week. This is like the only time I am going to ever in my life root for Pitt, because I want Pitt to give Notre Dame their 3rd loss.
His Notre Dame disdain is so intense that he wants Pitt to win.
Unwarranted.
We're leaving the Notre Dame hate aside, and we were talking about it before. It's the fact that they're independent and they can schedule these easy games and they get the playoff nod, because if they get 10-2, which they will.
Pitt is a quality.
USC isn't an easy game. They play USC every year.
No, I was going for a bit. You went real.
Oh, my fault. But still, my point still stands. I mean, Notre Dame plays hard teams every year.
I was making fun of Pitt.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Pitt in general, but
frauds.
Whatever. Yeah, for all intents and purposes.
Give them their flowers, because they're not going to have it by the end of the year. I'm sorry that the last 3 games are a juggernaut. There's no way they win all 3.
No. They have Notre Dame, Miami, and Georgia Tech in no particular order. I just know they have Notre Dame first. Then they have Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about Narduzzi being weird and saying that Notre Dame can beat him by 100 and he still wouldn't care?
He's so corny.
Is that what you want to hear if you're in the locker room? No, absolutely
Put it
not.
in the complaint box.
But at the same time, is he wrong? You know what I mean? Like,
it's not a conference game.
At this point, Pitt's
Just
only chance
put in
of
your
getting
fourth and fifth stringers and keep everybody else guaranteed healthy, and just
everybody
talk
else.
the whole game, right?
Everybody else. At this point, Pitt's only chance to the playoffs is the ACC title game, and so, and to an extent, that Notre Dame game doesn't matter.
Is that not what I just said?
Playoffs are
Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
Flawed. I agree.
yeah,
Let's get back
playoffs
to
are
four.
flawed.
Actually,
But
let's just get
anyway,
back to two. Can we
Big
just have
12.
Ohio State and A&M play each other?
That's fair.
No.
No, actually, I
Why?
take that back.
Spirit of the
Eh.
game, Indiana's going to win it all.
I agree. Go Signetti.
Big 12
Actually,
is a two-bid league. I want to talk about how the Big
See,
12
I
is just better than the
disagree.
ACC.
Yeah,
after this
it's
week.
starting to not look like it's going to be a two-bid league.
I think it is BS that the Big 12 will not end up being a two-bid league, but simply because how the BYU loss was handled, just in the AP poll. You know, we haven't gotten the CFP rankings this week yet, and it may very well be different. But if BYU drops below Oklahoma, Texas, you know, several two-loss teams, Notre Dame is one. I don't see two Big 12 teams getting in because, in my opinion, at this point in the season for the Big 12, it will be Texas Tech and BYU both making it to the Big 12 title games as one-loss teams. BYU will lose again, and the CFP committee will not let them into the playoffs because they have two losses to the same team.
Even though Texas got in last year after losing twice to Georgia.
Yep. SEC bias, man. It just means more.
See, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you handle that as the committee because, like you just said, the committee favors the SEC and the Big Ten. But, like, I don't know. Like, losing to the same team, and that's all you lose to, and that same team is a contender for a top 4 spot, they're not going to get it. But I think that they will be. You lose to that team twice, and you're going to get left out, and you did everything else right. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me no matter what league you're in.
I'll be honest, it depends a lot on how the top of the SEC plays out too, because that last spot, I'm assuming Notre Dame wins out. If they're 10-2, they're getting in. So then it comes down to the two other teams that are kind of like keeping BYU from making it in are Texas and Oklahoma. If Texas loses to both A&M and Georgia, they're out. An 8-4 team is not making it in. And then you have Oklahoma who plays Alabama. Assuming they lose to Alabama, they're out. But what happens if Oklahoma beats Alabama and then Alabama wins out, Oklahoma wins out, and then Texas either beats both or one of Georgia and A&M and ends up 9-3 with a couple good wins in there, and their only losses are to Ohio State, Florida, and one of either Georgia or A&M? Do you let them in over an 11-2 BYU team that lost to Texas Tech, both being blowouts, I would assume? So it really depends on, does the elite of the elite at the top of the SEC stay elite and win out and make a way for BYU to make it to the playoffs? Or does the second tier of the SEC find a way to get two teams in that probably shouldn't be in? Vanderbilt is in that discussion as well, because Vanderbilt has two losses and only 3 games remaining, and the only tough game left is Tennessee. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so
who knows?
I do have a question about Vanderbilt though. So I know how you guys like to talk about, well, when you beat a team that has a ranking and they fall down and lose the ranking, the game means less. How do you handle Vandy's schedule looking at that?
Well, so for me, I've said this before a couple times, but being out of the top 25 or being low in the top 25 is not an indication of a weak team by any stretch. But I feel like because we hyper focus on, who's in the top 15, who's in the top 10, I think we kind of take away from other good teams just because their number isn't, single digit.
They would be 10-2.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. What were you going to say, Tyler?
Assuming they went out, they would be 10-2 with 0 ranked wins, and the only ranked opponents they would have played, assuming that, I hate the, ranked win of an opponent that was ranked at the time that is no longer ranked. So I'm saying they would have no ranked wins against teams that would be ranked at the end of the season, because South Carolina is no longer ranked, LSU is no longer ranked, Missouri is no longer ranked, and that's it. Auburn was ranked at one point in the season, but is no longer.
Yeah, but I mean, head-to-heads matter, right?
So at that point, you'd be 10-2 with a win over Tennessee is your best win, and your 2 losses are to number 4 Alabama and number 10 Texas.
But assuming that Tennessee is at 25 and they were to beat Tennessee at the end of the year, that would presumably knock Tennessee out and still give them no ranked wins.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you handle that?
Well,
They'll be the best. They'll be the best out of
no
everybody there.
Like I said,
it's a flawed metric if that's how you work it. Right?
Does the
you're
SEC,
saying everyone I beat sucks because I beat them? Then how could you give them any credit? You could if you lost every game, you could say, well, I'm a really good team, but everyone else is really good.
What if
BYU
wins out? What if BYU wins out and wins in the Big 12 championship game? Do they let in an 11-2 Texas Tech?
I think they should.
I think
They
so.
should.
Yeah, they should. I mean, definitely low seeds between the two of them, but they should both get in.
So the better route for the Big 12 purposes is Texas Tech and BYU to both win out, meet in the championship game, and Texas Tech lose. Like, who do they respect more? Would if Tech wins, BYU loses, does BYU get left out, or do they leave them in, and then vice versa? Does Tech get left out, or do they let them in and BYU obviously makes it because they're the champion?
It's a weird discussion to have.
I mean, we're talking about BYU, but also Utah still has a winnable rest of the year schedule. So are we assuming that they're out of the conversation because of their loss to BYU and because of their loss to Texas Tech?
They are. The problem with Utah is that they already have 2 Big 12 losses, and I'm assuming that Tech and BYU both win out, and so it would keep them from the Big 12 championship game. And the playoff committee would not let in a Utah team that has a loss to both of those teams.
That's fair.
Well, the question is, does BYU win out? Because of the 2, Tech is going to win out, but BYU has a chance to drop a game or even 2. So I think Utah is more likely than BYU to win out.
Tech has UCF and us. BYU has.
I know Cincinnati's on there.
ECU, Cincinnati on the road, and UCF. I think they win against TCU and UCF, especially at home. TCU's a night game. Crazy things happen in BYU. So the toughest game left is Cincinnati. What do you make of Cincinnati? I don't know.
It's at Cincinnati. They like to beat ranked teams at home. Doesn't always happen, but
they're
not by any stretch an easy game.
I mean, Cincinnati could win out, and they would be, surely Cincinnati doesn't make the playoff if they win out and lose to Tech in the Big 12 championship.
No, they won't because they lost to Utah. But I kind of want to move back to Vanderbilt. Does Vanderbilt actually win out? Because looking at this Kentucky team that they got to play, Kentucky just put belt to behind against Florida, 38-7. Yeah,
is that really that impressive?
Kentucky still has to make it through Tennessee Tech this week, who is currently 10-0.
Tennessee Tech, dog.
10-0 Tennessee Tech is a force to be reckoned with.
Is Florida, with their interim head coach and benched DJ Lagway, really that impressive?
I mean, I'm not saying that Kentucky should have lost, but I'm saying that the fashion that they beat them in the swamp as well.
I'll be honest, I think that's more of an embarrassing loss for Florida than it is for an impressive win for Kentucky.
I agree. And that makes Texas look worse, right?
Oh, 100%. I still think Texas is the most flawed team in the country. They only have 2 losses, and it just happens to be to the number 1 team in the country and then a really bad Florida team. And their best win is Oklahoma with an injured John Mateer and Vanderbilt.
And there is no freaking reason Texas should be number 10 in the EP. Like, it's not right.
And Notre Dame is above them. And Notre Dame has a worse resume than Texas.
Yep. College football. in the committee. It's not even college football; it's a committee.
It's all about what have you done for me lately, and they have not lost. That's the whole
Oh,
reason why.
great.
Pitt's
Yeah.
getting
What
the
have you done
flowers,
for
'cause
me
they have not lost.
financially?
Let's bring that up. Does anybody have a picture of the AP poll, perchance?
No, I don't have one pulled up, but
Okay. Well, anyway, in order, not in consecutive order, but in terms of order of just these 4 teams, the AP poll has Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, Virginia. However, they all have the same record, and Virginia has the head-to-head over Louisville. Louisville has the head-to-head over Miami. Miami has the head-to-head over Notre Dame. I think it should be completely flip-flopped, and the fact that it's not just shows how bad that the AP poll is. Matt Howe thinks I'm putting too much weight on head-to-head. I just want everybody's thoughts on how that should be handled, because the fact that Virginia, yes, I know they had a bad loss, even though Wake Forest has looked a lot better than what I think people are giving them credit for. Louisville's loss to Cal is a lot worse in my opinion, but even though Virginia lost to Wake Forest, they still have the same record as all of the teams above them. They have the win over Louisville. Like I said, Louisville has the win over Miami. Miami has the win over Notre Dame.
So I'm being facetious, so don't overreact.
Okay.
But I said it earlier. We beat Houston. Houston beat Arizona State. Arizona State beat Texas Tech. So we should be number 8.
My counter argument.
You can't just look at the head-to-head and say you have to set it in stone this way.
Can I
because
counter
there's going to
argue?
be circles of suck.
Not yet. He's still talking, brother.
Can I counter argue? You said
I'm
what?
the moderator.
WV over Houston, Houston over Arizona State over Texas Tech. WVU sits at 4-6. Houston sits at 8-2. Arizona State, Houston sits at 8-2. Arizona State sits at 6-3. Texas Tech sits at 9-1. Whereas all 4 teams that I mentioned previously all have the same record.
And their record, number-wise, is the same, but who they've played and who they've lost to, obviously, is different.
Also at different times of the year, I might add on.
Yeah.
So I think
what's your strength of record?
Flawed argument that there is, because if you're just acknowledging that, hey, it happened at a different time of the year, why was Kansas not in the playoff last year? In a 4-week stretch, they beat 3 ranked teams?
It's because it's your strength of record, not just the record.
But to say that because Notre Dame lost to Miami in week 1, and it no longer matters because that was 10 weeks ago, why are we even playing games? Why are we even doing that?
But that's where I get to the thing where there are so many criteria that you should weigh in when ranking teams that somewhere, somehow, you're going to screw something up and leave a team out that maybe deserves to be there.
There are a number of things that you should consider, but the head-to-head, the games that are played on the field should matter the most above all.
So where do you put Miami? Let's just look at Miami because we have Notre Dame at number 9.
Virginia should be at the top. Louisville behind them. Miami behind Louisville. Notre Dame behind Miami. Where they should be in the top 25, I don't know. I'd have to go look and make it top 25 again.
Okay,
I just think that the fact that it's
Virginia just lost to Wake Forest.
Okay.
So where's Wake Forest?
But again, it has to do with the fact that they all have the exact same record and the head-to-head, not just the head-to-head.
Okay, so where do you move Virginia within the stack? Because they're 8-2.
Like I said,
you put them
like we said, Virginia's been playing like they're trying to give away the ACC title, and they clearly did this weekend.
I'm trying to put up strength of schedule to compare the 4 teams.
I mean, bad teams sometimes win games too, and their record could be inflated. That's sort of what we thought about Georgia Tech in the beginning of the year. We were waiting for them to lose. So
can we just say the ACC sucks and move on?
I mean, yeah.
I don't disagree.
I mean,
I got flamed on Twitter earlier for saying that if we were in the ACC, we'd be going bowling.
Oh, we
did lose to Ohio, but still.
That's not even a crazy take. Literally, a team competing for their conference championship in the ACC, we beat. So how could, yes, the ACC sucks. What do you want us to do about it? Win the games on the field. We're 6-1 against them.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Miami's strength of schedule is 39. Virginia is 93.
Oh,
I can't even find the other. Who were we talking about? Louisville and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, I see it 13 for strength of record.
No, Notre Dame is at 30th. I don't know what you're looking
at. I said strength of record. Are you looking at strength of schedule?
Strength of schedule.
I think Notre Dame be 130th. I'm joking.
See, exactly. I think strength of record is a better metric than strength of schedule.
Okay, so
because if you play a bunch of cupcakes, whatever, your record is 10-0. What did you accomplish? Strength of record takes
Tennessee Tech
into account how well you beat everybody. I think that's more important than just some random number.
The strength of record is Notre Dame at 13th, Miami.
There's a reason we say quality loss, with Notre Dame having lost by 4 combined points over the season. That is much more impressive than winning against cupcake teams by 1 point.
Losing to Wake Forest by 6.
I will make the point of, I actually watched a video on this the other day. Back when the BCS was a thing, back when it first started in like the mid to late 90s, they had a computer, the BCS computer calculator, that calculated which teams should play in the New Year's Bowls. And a lot of those picks they got wrong because the most outweighed statistic that they used in the calculations was margin of victory. That was the most weighed outcome. It wasn't who you beat, it was margin of victory and how impressive your victory looked on paper. And because of that, teams like BYU, for example, got left out of a New Year's Bowl because such and such blew out, Tennessee or whatever. So margin of victory can also harmfully impact playoffs.
But it should be who you beat and how you beat them.
I want to also note that the ESPN strength of record and strength of schedule metrics are based on the ESPN FPI ratings, who currently have 3-6 Penn State at 21.
Yeah, no, I'm not the biggest ESPN fan in the world. I know we are aware of that.
Disney loves the Nittany Lions.
What do you do? At the end of the day, if you have the same record, you play in the same conference, 3 of those teams do, and one of them basically does because they play at the very least 5 ACC teams every year anyway, and you have the head-to-head, you should be ahead of the person you have the head-to-head over and the same exact record as.
I'll tell you.
Now, how do you do that when you have circle of sucks in between conferences?
Explain. Give me an example.
He literally has said it like 3 times. Like one team beats another, who lost to another, who lost to another, and it all completes a circle.
Yeah, and so in a conference, it's relatively simple when there's only, 2 or 3 relevant teams in that conversation, like our conversation with us to Texas Tech, right? But when you have conferences, when you're playing across conferences, then how do you rectify it?
But again, that's not the scenario we're talking about right now.
I'm saying that plays into this.
I will go into it, but right now we have 4 teams. All of them have played at least one of the other teams, and they've beaten them, and they all have the same record.
I see where you're coming from.
Now, it would be different if
it's just not black and white.
Yeah, I just don't see, if you have, I think Notre Dame's a little high at number 9, but could you put 4 other ACC teams in the top 10 or in the top 15?
Notre Dame at 10 is ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. So drop Notre Dame down, but how do you put 4 ACC teams higher than 20?
I do it because they have the head-to-head over Notre Dame. It's that simple. It's not
but you have so many other teams above Notre Dame where I don't think it makes sense. Like, I think Notre Dame's a little high at 9.
But
you're going to put 4 ACC teams after we just said the ACC sucks.
Makes sense.
You're going to put 4 ACC teams above BYU.
BYU should be a top 7 or 8 team right now.
Okay.
Where are you getting?
So I agree.
Even in the conversation,
you're saying you want to move Miami, Virginia. You want to move them up. Louisville. You want to move them up above Notre Dame.
For the most part, those are all about where I think they should be. I think Notre Dame is simply just way too high.
Yeah, so I'm saying relatively, you want to put them above Notre Dame in the head-to-head order, right? Yes. I don't necessarily disagree. But when you're looking at the top 25 across all the conferences and the independents, where do you put that blob? Are you going to do like the Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss blob where you stick those three together and just leave them?
That's what I said. I don't know where they would be in the top 25. I just think the order of those four in particular is ridiculous when considering every single one of them has the exact same record. They all almost have the exact same. I don't want to say strength of schedule, but in terms of how many ranked teams they've played, it's all very similar. One has a head-to-head against the other, and it goes down the line. If you all have the same record, you play in the same conference, with the exclusion of Notre Dame to an extent, the person with the head-to-head wins. At the end of the games are played on the field for a reason. The time at which they are played on the field needs to matter. I can't help it if you got worse throughout the season. That's your fault, and I can't help it if you have gotten better throughout the season. It's your fault for not playing at the beginning of the season. You still played the game. Notre Dame still lost to Miami.
This is why I can never make like a correct ranking in my head, because there all these conflicting factors.
I do like to consider momentum in my rankings, because I do think a team having momentum into the postseason is important.
Very important.
So
I would say an easy solution is to cut down on how many teams we let in, because then we don't have this problem nearly as often.
Okay, well, we've had that discussion.
Easier
and
to
for the most part, we all agree that 12 is way too many.
The real question is, where are the Mountaineers at? That's the real question.
47. We'll be there in 3 to 6 business
years. Or at least
years.
number 8, because transitively we beat Texas Tech.
Yeah.
That's not that's not what I've said at all.
I'm glad we know what facetious means.
Agreed.
We're an educational podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't know where to leave it from here, because we know like who the like
I don't
the top.
Give up on the conversation, but I feel like we're not making it anywhere. So.
Yeah. What about our group of 5 headway? San Diego State got blown out, so they are completely.
All I know is I called Hawaii over San Diego State and UConn over Duke, so I'm just a ball knower.
UConn's quarterback has not thrown a single interception all year, and he is the people's Heisman.
I cannot remember the exact stat. It was something like there are only 2 quarterbacks in college football history that have a 3-game span of 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, or something like that. Do you know who the 2 are?
Who?
Joe Burrow and UConn's quarterback, who I have forgotten the name of again. Joe Fagano or something like that.
That sounds right, actually. No, that does sound right. He's Italian.
Let's put the old Big East back together. We'll have a whale of a time
playing
some football. So
I mean,
he's a dog. I mean, I the ACC sucks. We know that, but like the fact that Duke had to compete with UConn, and now we know how good UConn is. So,
well, they play vastly different on the road than they do at home. Like incredibly.
Wasn't that
different.
the case at the Illinois game too, or were they at home for that atrocity?
For Indiana, I believe they were.
Yeah, so I don't know. Duke and Illinois is a weird.
What do we say about UConn losing to Syracuse, beating Boston College, who probably is the worst team in the ACC, but then beating Duke? So what's that say about the ACC there? You know what I mean? Like, it's all messed up.
Notre Dame only beat Boston College 25-10.
They're all mixed up, and they're all worse than the bottom half of the Big 12.
Yes.
At the times, Syracuse still had Steve Angeli. So you can't put too much weight into that loss for UConn, because Steve Angeli is
quality loss. Well,
UConn's
also,
not
I do want to shout out, since we have the background pulled up, I want to shout out the men's and women's hoops team. So men just came off and beat Lehigh. We're 3-0. Good win, good place from our transfers as well. And
point
differential
against Lehigh was greater than when Houston played them earlier in the week. Just got to point that out.
We're better than Houston transitive property of point differentials.
I know we've completely disappeared from any postseason talk. We went from having a winning record to, I believe, a 500 record, if I remember reading it correctly. So I don't know what to think. We're really just going to have to wait and see for Big 12 play, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Whenever football season wraps up, for you guys watching, we're going to start talking way more about basketball. Just know that we know what's happening. We're paying attention. So we're going to start talking about it eventually.
I feel like this is totally just backpedaling, but I was trying to find another example of it, and it's literally the only example in the like every other conference, the head-to-head thing that I'm talking about applies. Like if you look at the SEC, Alabama's above Georgia, Georgia above Ole Miss.
Yeah,
What are you saying? Like the better team has the head-to-head? You mean like the better team has always won? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if they have the same record, the team with the head-to-head is above the other team. Like I said, Alabama is above Georgia. Georgia is above Ole Miss. Ole Miss is above Oklahoma. Texas is above Oklahoma.
They still have 2 weeks to mess it up. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
It is the AP.
The ACC is the only scenario where that applies, and I swear to you, it's just because they want Notre Dame in the top 10. That's the only reason it is set up like that.
Well, before we start hopping down the rabbit hole and making this episode way too long,
all right. I was just another example. That's on me.
No, you're good. Unless you guys got anything else to say, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So, are we good or?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Go Kennesaw State.
What was your reasoning behind that again?
Vibes.
And I want them to be the G5 representative because I think it would be funny to see them get blown out 80-0 in Athens and just prove to everybody that there should be no G5 representative. Actually, no, that's not true. I don't hate the G5 representative because the team they replace wouldn't win it all anyway. I just think that the G5 would benefit from its own playoff.
Tyler's projecting.
He's a hater.
You sound like a hater.
I'm not a hater. I want Kennesaw State, bro. Their only losses are Indiana and Wake Forest.
Were they quality losses?
Wake Forest did just beat Virginia. Whoa.
Quality loss. Wait, Kennesaw State has the same record as Virginia, and they were only lost by 1 to Wake Forest. They should be.
So you're putting them in? You're putting them in above Notre Dame?
Yes. Go Kennesaw State.
On that note, I think
they held Indiana to 56, and Illinois did not. They're better than Illinois.
Getting held to 56.
Getting held. Oh my gosh!
They played Jack State this weekend, and I'm conflicted.
All right, can we hang it up?
Yeah, please.
Can we hang it up?
I beg of
okay.
You want to
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, helps us out in the algorithm a lot. Follow the Instagram, follow the X. Don't forget about the Spotify. So from me, from Tyler, from Matt Howe, and Matt Loams, we'll see you on the next episode.
Goodbye, America.